The new year will mean new representation in both our state legislature and in Washington, D.C. Here to talk about these changes and what it means to you is our good friend Charles McElwee. Charles is the editor of Real Clear Pennsylvania. He's also a political analyst here with SSPTV. Charles, thanks so much for joining us. It's going to be a year of changes in our state capital.
Significant changes after what proved to be a disappointing year for the Republican Party, as the midterms confirmed. Democrats are having what appears to be a great year ahead of them. In Harrisburg, you have a Democratic governor in Josh Shapiro, but also two U.S. senators, Democrat, of course, Casey, who was not up for re-election this cycle, but John Fetterman, who is now a senator. So essentially, two Democrat senators and a Democrat governor in Pennsylvania for the first time, all three since the 1840s. And in addition to that, in the state legislature, you have this ongoing unresolved fight between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats are on pace to have a majority in the state house for the first time since 2010, but that isn't fully resolved until certain special elections are sorted out.
One special election right here in our area locally is happening on January 31st, and that is for the 27th District Senate seat, the seat that was held by John Gordner. He now resigned. The Republican nominee is State Representative Linda Schlegel-Culver, who is from the 108th District in Northumberland County. The Democratic nominee, Patricia Lawton, she's a speech-language pathologist from Columbia County, and there is also a Libertarian candidate in Thomas Anderson.
And this is a safe Republican seat, so all indications would be that Representative Schlegel-Culver would win the special election. John Gordner took a position as counsel to Senator Kim Ward in the state legislature, in the state Senate. And this is going to create a fascinating dynamic, because following the special election on January 31st, what we could see is 100 Republicans and 100 Democrats in the state house until the other elections are held to fill the seats that were vacated by Summer Lee, who went to Congress. She's from Western Pennsylvania, as well as Austin Davis, who will be lieutenant governor under Josh Shapiro. And then the third seat that remains to be resolved is the one held by Tony DeLuca, who passed away about a month before the election. So there is a lot of intrigue, a lot of fighting. This is a story that will probably be national in scope. And just locally, this election alone, the special election for Senator Gordner's seat, could create a really confusing and dynamic and a lot of fighting in the state legislature.
We also have two new state representatives from our area going to Harrisburg, that being Mike Cabell and Dane Watrow.
Both Republicans, and that's reflective of how the area is trending. In previous election cycles, that proved quite beneficial to the GOP on a statewide scale. It was a different story, of course, in this past election, but Luzerne County in general is on pace to have a more likely not a GOP voter registration majority in the coming years, similar to what happened to Westmoreland County, another previously Democrat county in recent years. But Republican seats, Representative Watrow alone, he'll be the first resident from McAdoo to represent a House seat since 1911. A guy named Eckley Kleinerman, who was from McAdoo. He was previously in the state house more than a century ago. But both Watrow and Cabell have a lot of issues that they will be discussing locally, of course, under really the purview of constituent service. That's the top job of a state legislator. We're looking at a lot of trends in the coming years that are directly impacting the lives and livelihoods of constituents in the legislative districts that comprise the Hazleton area. The number one being, of course, this warehousing proliferation, the fact that 23 million square feet of warehousing is proposed around Hazleton through 2030. A lot of this concentrated on the south side, going into Klein Township, and then around Humboldt. In addition to that, we have the issue of water distribution, the fact that the Hazleton City Authority, for example, has identified more than $100 million worth of water distribution improvements that are needed really to accommodate all this industrial growth. The third big issue, of course, is housing. And we can just look at the Lehigh Valley south of us. They're number 2 in the country when it comes to like a heated rental market. The housing demand is just off the charts there. And we're going to see a similar dynamic here, driven by the warehousing proliferation that has already saturated that region. We're going to see it in our area. And we already do see it.